in the bottom right of the map, we have our still Terran player. It is none other than Caesura. In the
Yep, the top half, or top left, top half, yeah, of Akalon Wastes. It is our pink Protoss player spawning in is CovertMuffin from the clan DG. Looking to tie it up this game.
Yeah, of course, this being an extremely different matchup. Don't really know exactly how Covert's Protoss is relative to the rest of his races. He kind of implied before that he just kind of plays all of them for fun. He didn't say which one was he considered his strongest. And this map, however, in general, is actually pretty good for Protoss. It's one of the few maps in the game where you actually can legit go for air toss, and it's not somewhat risky. Just because you have that third that's pretty easy to take with a nice choke in there that makes it a little bit more risky to attack and get force fielded in half real easily, knock down the rocks to buy you a little bit more time as well.
Yep.
It's one of those maps where I see a lot of Protoss players tend to go for a little bit more slow play. Not to say you can't do something like Blink here. It's just not usually going to be the first option necessarily with a lot of people.
Yep, I'd like to note the rocks are Dustin Browder's favorite. They are Browder rocks.
Yes, you got to do terrible, terrible damage to knock them down.
Terrible, terrible damage.
Terrible, terrible damage. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube, look up Dustin Browder, terrible, terrible damage.
Oh man, we're gonna
Basically,
have to.
Whenever he casts anything, he's actually a really good caster, like from a broadcast standpoint. Sounds like he's been doing that for a long time. Second, he likes to say terrible, terrible damage. It's like it's his phrase.
he did.
It's like goes way back.
He uses it quite a bit.
I
think
brought it up. I'm obligated to do it at least once. So.
We have plenty of material, plenty of time. It's definitely open.
Interesting, Caesura going for a slightly different opening. Straying away from the typical Reaper opening, going for an SCV Scout instead.
Yep.
And then looks like he's about to grab a command center on the low ground after getting up here and seeing that CovertMuffin is in fact playing... Well, I was about to say like a normal sane person, but that's a forge that he built first. So he's not playing like a normal sane person, except to say that he's going to rely on static defenses to help protect his natural. This is a little crazy against Terrans, actually, because these two Marines that walk over, there's literally almost nothing to deal with them.
Yep, and Case is pushing out a reactor on his barracks, so he's going to get Marines even faster now. Yep, 2 in production at a time. Just started.
On the upside, he didn't run across the map with the Marines, so he's fine. But that was a pretty risky maneuver from Covert to actually go for the early Nexus play. It's not something that you typically do, but it works, obviously, if they decide not to, bunker rush you.
Yeah, especially against Terran. I mean,
They bunker rush you, you die.
Yep, the bunker rush. Even the Reapers can get extremely annoying, especially if you don't have anything to fight back.
Yep, I've had this happen to me when playing against random players. I assume that they're going to roll Zerg, so I go for the fast spam pylon at the ramp. Then I end up with nothing to defend against the Reaper, and it kills like 6 probes. And I'm like,
These things hurt. Controlled properly.
It's painful. But not happening this day at all. I gotta say that I think Case has responded to this in a pretty reasonable fashion. He's getting up a way to get some early pressure in with these barracks, but he's also grabbed it fairly quick. Command center of his own, not really going all in response, just kind of seeing that his opponent is going for fast economy and just doing the same thing. That's a perfectly reasonable response. Yep. And we have an early +1 from CovertMuffin. This is actually a little unusual, again, against Terrans. A lot of the time you'll see people tend to go for armor, just because stacked on top of the Guardian Shield bonus, it can be very, very good for an early attack. But not to say that +1 attack is bad. It's definitely not, but it lends itself to a different style of play. Kind of implies maybe a little less sentry heavy.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. He could just be crazy. I had no idea.
He could be. Case is also dropping, though. 2 Tech Labs concussive shells. He's going to be pushing out 2 Marauders at once here. So he does expect some kind of armored push. Immortals, something.
It could be. This is also just very good for an initial push as well. Zealots have a pretty hard time dealing with the slow effect. Makes them even worse at getting to the army. Doing any damage, you actually really need charge at that point to deal with it. So this is the kind of thing that you can just run up, try to trigger a photon overcharge. Though we'll notice there's actually no mothership core here.
No mothership core. That makes me as a Protoss feel very naked.
He's going to have, I think, if Case waits a little longer here, this +2, and then shields. Is he going for Zealot Archon?
He, honestly,
Or
that's
some kind of air toss play? No, he's got a robo bait though.
and he's getting leg speed, so I think Zealot Archon is a good read on that. Especially if he's pushing into shields, those are going to benefit Immortals as well.
You know, maybe I'm overanalyzing this too much. This is something I've actually never checked before. But do you think Hardened Shield actually benefits from armor?
From shield armor, I would imagine so. As far as armor, no. I don't
But
think.
is that like only from attacks below 10, though? I would imagine.
Yeah, I think once it's not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, once it's below 10, I think it does that. Over 10, I don't think so. I think it still caps at 10. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, technically we can find out in just a second here.
Oh yes, we'll have plenty of testing ground here just to watch.
Well, when I say that, this is definitely going to be the kind of thing that I might look at later, because here comes the attack.
Hi.
Sees the observer, kills it. Okay, force fields, but unfortunately he's probably going to do more damage to CovertMuffin if he doesn't pull his zealots back. Ow. Down immediately. There's the mothership core. It doesn't have any energy, so this base is essentially lost. You really should just run the probes away at this point.
Yep.
And then it's a question of whether or not Caesura is going to continue to push. He's not running away. The probes means that more than half of them die immediately.
Over stim here, Zealots. All it takes is one hit. They go down quick to stim, but these Marines are extremely weak.
Thing is, he's already done all the damage he has to. He can easily just walk home with the rest of this army, pair it up, build a second push, and walk back over at this point.
Easily.
Yeah, and it looks like CovertMuffin is throwing down the Templar Archives and try and do something to get some efficiency out of it. Unfortunately, it looks like we're actually going to lose the remainder of the units at the front here. And from our perspective, you could almost look at this and think maybe he could push across the map to at least harass him a little bit. I don't think he'd be able to get up into the National and do anything, to be honest. But the army's size is small enough that you're like not sure about this, so you can see that he's holding back. Just gonna throw down the Nexus.
That's probably safer. Safe approach there. Case, on the other hand, just yep. Templars coming out. Archons, as you predicted.
I think his window for this isn't very good, honestly. He needs to get, like, I think at this point he actually kind of needs to just push over to his opponent and try and make something happen, because Caesura, as you can see, he's not really tripping himself up. He's nowhere near supply blocked. He's getting stuff produced out there. He's a little bit high in minerals, but that's to be expected. The important thing is that he's spending his gas relatively okay. He's getting additional production up. This army's not going to get any smaller, and this lead definitely will not change. Not unless Covert does something drastic.
Like expands.
DTs expands again.
Yep. Gonna have to pull something out of his hat here. Looks like he's gonna knock these rocks down. Case knows what's going on. He's gonna push across the map. Oh, it's gonna be extremely painful. There's gonna be potential for terrible, terrible damage here.
Now, yeah, with the medevacs adding into the army, he doesn't really have the possibility of his opponent really overstimming. We have how many Marauders in this army? The extra damage for that I don't think actually really helps Caesura as much as a pure Marine army would in this particular case, but I don't think it's going to matter all that much.
Stay at the top of the ramp. Don't go down.
He does have +2. His opponent currently rocking actually no upgrades at all. So we have +1 shields, +2 against stim, usual bio upgrades, but no.
Scary dance here. Terran army gonna camp over here at the 3rd.
So let's see. Do 3 upgrades over your opponent make up for it in this situation? I'm still not necessarily convinced of this, especially if he just starts picking up his units and dropping in every location simultaneously. But if in a head-on engagement here, I still think the Terran has this more or less. But he's probably going to take way more damage than normal.
There are a lot of zealots here, and he's going to drop these rocks, but...
Yep, I take that back. I guess he does have +1/+1. Oh no, he's researching. Okay. The upgrade stab was not wrong. Good.
Scan going out. Can't quite see up the ramp, but honestly, with that many Marauders, probably doesn't really care.
Nah, he's more checking for an observer there. Runs up into the army, and the Zealots run out to the front, survive for probably a little bit longer than you would expect them to. Pulled them inward there for a second. I'm not really sure what was up with that, but yeah, traded, it was pretty efficient, but raw power still wins in the end.